nobody sees your thumbnail anymore, right? Well, even though autoplay is now becoming more important, more prevalent on YouTube, people still make the decision of whether or not they're going to click on your video with your thumbnail. So it still behooves you to put some time and thought into creating your thumbnails. So in this video, I'm going to share how I create thumbnails using a simple tool and how you can do it. It's going to be a step-by-step tutorial on how to create a thumbnail from scratch. Before we go on, if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe to my channel for more visibility tips to grow your YouTube channel. So the tool that I use is Canva. And I'm going to go through the evolution of my thumbnails way back in the day when I first started to put some attention into creating my thumbnails. It was actually when I was creating an ad campaign and realized that I needed to create a thumbnail for my ads. And so I actually went to the design section and put in the templates and looked for YouTube thumbnails. And that's how I ended up finding the template that I ended up using. This one is a very popular one. Let's see if we could bring this, add a new template as a new page. Yeah, this is a very popular one that a lot of people use because it's very attractive. It stands out. And it actually, oh, I just realized it even says the most attractive thumbnail. So this is a very, very popular, a very popular template. Here's another really good one where you compare two things. So you can use you can use the Canva templates. And by the way, I have the paid version, which is only about, I think, $12 a month or something like that. It's less than $15 per month. But there is a free version as well. So if you want to dabble in it, you can actually use the free version. And you'll just see wherever it says this little thing right here where it says Pro with the little crown, those are the ones that you'd have to pay for, either part of your package, or you can actually pay for the template. So let's say you have the free version and you're like, okay, well, you know what? I actually want to pay for one of these templates, then you can pay. And I've in the past, before I had the pro version, I actually paid like $1 or $2 every time I wanted a template. So that's definitely nothing. And absolutely do not skimp on the design. When you see if there's one that you really, really like, go ahead and pay the $1 or the $2. You don't need the paid version of the program to have a template. Because here's the thing, once you have one template, then you can reuse it. And so once you buy the template, if that's the one you want to use, maybe you even buy a few to test them. But once you own that, you can just duplicate it and then use that every single time for your thumbnails, right? You want your thumbnails to look the same so that there's some continuity in your branding and in your messaging on YouTube. So this is the version that I actually used. And so this is the one that I started with. So if we go back down to, we see this is the one that I originally did. So it's funny because you can see the evolution of my thumbnails and what I ended up doing. And so I eventually ended up removing this white background, and now I just use my image and the purple background. So it was originally this yellow and black. I think I also made this version maybe in red and in blue and black and white. And so what I ended up doing most recently is I have me in the image, and if I'm highlighting somebody else, like this one right here was a summit that I was doing, and I had my image and the speaker's image. But what I'm going to do now, and I'm going to do this along with you guys, is I have a lot of text in my thumbnails, and I'm going to remove that. So people used to have way more text in their thumbnails, and you really just want to have a few words. Like I would say 3 words is really good, maybe max 5. And you can, if you have a really good, like this is MrBeast's strategy. This is all he has is an image and a few words. So he used to say a lot more in his thumbnails, and now he just has a really catchy thumbnail, a really catchy image as a thumbnail. So this is his entire thumbnail is the image. Now, of course, it has him in it. MrBeast is a personality in and of himself. So himself in the image is a great way to co-brand himself as MrBeast, as the channel head, and having him in these really provocative, shocking, different poses, right? Here's another one. This was him in, I think this was one where he had to be in a supermarket. So obviously he's got a designer that is, is manipulating this image, but it's him. And so people recognize him, and he just has a little bit of text. This is day 150, right? So there's just a little bit of text in the images. So if you look at MrBeast's channel, he has very, 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 very little text. He's pretty much minimized text down to, usually what he'll do is maybe something like this, like, because he has these day challenges, like hour, or like, being in solitary confinement for 7 days. And so he might have like day number 5 or whatever. So what I would suggest then is I'm going to use this one. I'm going to recreate this one. And this was a tutorial that I'm making. And so I'm going to remove myself because I'm not really necessary for the tutorial. And I'm going to, so what I did here, so you can have text and you can add images and also your own images. So this, what I did to get this image is actually went to uploads here, and I uploaded a photo of myself. And so I'm just going to go ahead and get that photo. See if we could pull it down. Okay, so let's say this one. And what I did is I went to right over here where it says edit image, and I did the BG remover, which is the background remover. And you click on that, and it does a pretty good job. But if you do have a lot of things, a lot of like moving parts in your photo, it might not work perfectly. So because I had just had a simple background, this one works in my case. But look, it even does a pretty good job with the hair, which a lot of times these background removers don't do a good job with hair, like, like mine, that is was very voluminous. So what I also would do, if it's an image that I just opened, I do the edit image, and I would actually manipulate this part here, adjust a little bit. So I might make it a little brighter, add some contrast. And in my case, I would increase the saturation too, to make myself not look so pale in the image. So I'll increase the brightness, contrast, and saturation. But then there's also other elements here. You could do other things. If it's not a very sharp image, you can increase the clarity to make it more sharp. That might be one you have to do. And so that's what I do when it's my image, right? But in this particular case, I'm not going to use my image for this one. But if you wanted to, that's what I would recommend. The other thing is, how do you get other little elements like this? So remember, so you go, if you want to get a template, you go here on the left side, it says design. But if you want to find some other elements, you click on elements. And there, let's say you want to find an editor tool. And you have the option here. This won't give you all, but here you have the option for graphics. If you just want graphics, photos, so those are real images, videos. So I use this a lot of times when I create B-roll, shapes, frames, audio, which is probably not going to happen for this type of thing, but it's interesting to find if there's something you want to, if you want to find audio, you can add that to your Canva as well. Like if you're creating a little video intro or B-roll or something that you want to add audio. So let's say I'm going to go to the graphics, And let's say I can use this one. Now, remember, a thumbnail is rectangular, and so we only have certain space that we can use. So this might not work, but let's say I add that to that side. And let's see, how can I improve this? So I do like that image. It's not like a super professional image, but you get the idea of what I'm trying to accomplish here. And let's say, so I'm going to remove the YouTube tutorial. I'm going to remove that. And let's say, oh, one other thing that now when you're doing text, there's this element right here where it says magic write. And so that magic write allows you to, well, okay, so there's a lot of cool things. So it allows you to rewrite it. It allows you to, when the prompt is more fun, it might make it just a little more flowery. More formal makes it a little bit more professional sounding, less casual. And then sprinkle fairy dust is, it's going to sound super florally. So let's try sprinkle dust here and see what it comes up with. A spellbinding guide to effortless editing, step by step, right? So super not what we want. We want something that is shorter, and yeah, we want something shorter. So I'm going to undo that. Okay, so let's see. YouTube editor tutorial. I am going to flip this image so that, because this blue thing isn't as important. You see how that made this look a lot better, right? So did you see how I had it before? So there's this element up here you can flip, and so you can flip it horizontally or you could flip an image vertically, okay? So we had it this way before and it wasn't looking as good. So I flipped it so that the the scissor is on this side. And that way, if I ever had to, like if I wanted to make this bigger, then this blue part here, which is the least important part of this image, it could actually be off screen if I really wanted to. Okay. So there we go. And then you can make the text larger or smaller. Up here, you can increase the font size. You can make it left aligned, you can make it centered or right aligned. So I'm going to center it. And you can even hear this little thing here. It says letter spacing. So you can make the letters closer together, further apart. And even the lines, make those closer together or further apart. And I have it the way that it originally was. I thought that was fine. And you can even position things in front or behind. So if you have multiple elements, like let's say you wanted to put the text on top of the image, then you would position that forward. And that way you can move the text over the image if you wanted to. So that doesn't look good. So I'm going to undo that. And so there you go, YouTube editor tutorial. And I have it's simple. It's a few words. I have an image that evokes what I'm trying to do. And then when you add the title, you want the title there, the title is not supposed to be super long either. You want to make that as short as possible too, like about 50 characters or less. But the title can give you more information. And that way, the person who's watching, they see this, it's very simple. It says exactly what it does. And then the title gives a little bit more information. And I usually try to complement it. So if I don't, I try not to double up on what the words are in the thumbnail. and what the content, what the title says. I try not to double up, right? Because it's almost like it's real estate that you're not using. But the other option, let's just, instead of doing this, what if I did an entire image, an actual photo, instead of this purple background, and like, I don't know, something like this. And so I try to have the purple background because that's the branding of my channel, but it's not necessary. You don't have to have your branding. But so maybe what you could do is, so instead of me using the purple background, maybe I can use purple letters. That could be a way to make the branding, to increase, to make sure that I have the branding. So what I would do here, there's this thing here called effects. And that allows you to play around with the text. And there's options here like a shadow. I can make a little bit of a shadow to make that easier to read. There is this lift option here. There's, let's say, hollow, splice, outline. That could be really good. So maybe the outline, I can have another color here. Let's see what else. We've got echo, glitch. I like this one. I use this one a lot. So it just kind of depends. Like here, the red actually might look better with this image. The pink probably goes better with the purple, but for this particular image, the red and this beigey, orangey image might look better. But this image isn't actually really that good. I just use it as an example, but let's say, let's duplicate that and remove that background. And let's see if we can get a better image of editing. Let's see. So you're going to want to get an image that has some space for you to add the text, right? So let's say something like this. Obviously, if this had a little bit more white space, this is such a big computer. If this was a smaller computer, I feel like it would look better. Let's see if we can move this a little bit. Because I think it might be better to have the larger text. Okay, let's see if there's another image we can do. This might not be the best image for this particular thumbnail, but you get the idea here. So for this one, maybe you want to make it, yeah, you want to make sure that the text pops, obviously. Another thing that's really cool you can do, if like, let's say in Elements, you could do things like red arrow. And that way you can always, like I did one the other day. And so you could do something like that. And so here, what you do, because it had that white background, what I would do is I would edit the image and then do the BG remover, the background remover. And there it removes the background. but look how nice that looks, right? So it could be something like this. So this wouldn't be what I would do because I'm trying to have the back, in my case, trying to see if there's a way where I can blend the branding of my channel, which is purple and gold, with the thumbnail to have some continuity with it. But I'm actually doing this with you guys so you can see the thought process that's going through my mind as I'm creating a new branded thumbnail. Now, of course, you can pay somebody to do this as well, but you're going to have to give them prompts. And if you don't give them good prompts for creating the thumbnail, then you're going to end up, it doesn't matter how good the thumbnail editor is, if you don't give them good prompts and it doesn't reflect your brand that you want for your channel, then it's wasted money, right? So it's important for you to understand these elements when you're creating a thumbnail, even if you're paying somebody to do it. But this one could look good if these were your colors. So this is just an example here. I do like that there's a person in the background, but they're faded a little bit so the colors do pop in the text. So one other thing you can do, and if you do use Canva, I suggest you play around with this, is there's other things you can do, like with the elements, you can, there's graphics you can add, there's shapes. I do this all the time where I'll add a background to this, like a box behind it. And so obviously in this particular case, it's blocking the text. So let's put that behind. And so you could do something like that. And if you wanted that actual text, if you wanted this to be, let's say, white, you can change, click the box, and then you click the section that says color, and then there you can change it. Sorry if I went through that quickly before. Now, here's one thing that's really cool that they have an option of. One is there's your brand kit, which allows you to incorporate the colors for your brand. Here I have the empowering from my true crime channel, which is this purple as well. And then the other thing that's really cool is it's got photo color. So if you wanted to use colors that are popping up from the photos, it actually allows you to be able to blend the colors together. So it makes the photo look nicer. So that's one thing you could do. So like, let's say if I didn't care about my brand color, then I just wanted to create this box, then the box I could have in the similar color to the shirt that's being used, and then that would blend in the colors. So let's see what else here. One other thing you could do, I'm just going to move this over, is if you do have this, I actually learned from my web designer. If you want to give, like, let's say, because my website is purple, right? It has purple background. I would make the images that I use had a purple hint, a purple tint to them. And so with Canva, you do edit image, and you go down to these filters here, click see all. And I would use this Dalliance, which is has a purple tint to it, if you notice. And what I do is add that. The default is 50%. So I just kind of make it so that it doesn't look too purpley, right? Because that looks way too purple. The 50 still looks a little purple, 50%. So let's say I could take it down to 35. So it still looks good. And that way, that adds a little bit of that brandedness to your channel, to your images. Like if you have, let's say we can try it with a different color, with a different tint. That just happens to work for mine. But let's say you have, this one's a little bit more green, or this one has a little bit of that yellowy color. This is a rosy. Peony is pink. Edge has this kind of like greenish, bluish background. Selfie is a little bit yellow, right? This is none. So you can use that option as well. And then just while we're here, there's this one does this photo enhance. Let's see what happens here. So that enhances the photo. And there are some other options here if you want to play around with the image. Okay. So, and then one other thing, I keep saying one other thing. Well, I really love these options here, and I do these all the time, is if you want to say, there's these smart mockups, and here it's really good if you want to add an image into a cell phone or something like that. So at one point when I was creating a lot of content around Reels and I was teaching people, I actually used the smart mockups and added an image that I wanted in there. So what this does is it has an image, and then it takes whatever the image that you had there and puts it into the whatever the frame is. So in this case, it's on the computer. So you can do that. Like I think there's an option here for a book. I did that one time for, oh, I love this, like a business card. So it's cool, right? Let's see if I can see the book one. I did this one time with my book. Is it this, your design here? That's not a book. I think there's maybe only one option for, oh, here, I've done it with this one. Oh, here are all the books. Oh, I think they might have added some. They might have added some extra ones here. So yeah, this is really good. If you've got a book, you can add your design here. Now that was just the image that I had. That's obviously not the image that I'm going to use, but you get the idea here. T-shirts. Look how cool. Mugs. Oh, that's so cool. So Canva has some really cool options here for, to use. So that's actually pretty cool. That's really, really cool. Okay, so the other thing, and I think this will be the last thing for this particular tutorial because it's kind of running long, is you can do this thing called frames. So what that allows you to do is to have this shape and you add an image into that shape. So here I added my image, whatever upload I wanted or whatever image. You could also get one from here. Let's say woman on swing. I know that's random. Photos. You see, and you can move this around by clicking on it. You can move this around, but it will take the shape. It will fill in the shape. So you just have to make sure that, like if you're going to do another funky shape, like let's say like something like this. I'm going to detach this. You click here, you right click and then do detach image. I'm going to put that in there. And then you see, you want to make sure that whatever image you use actually fits inside the shape, right? The frame. So yeah, so that you can use in your designs as well. So let's say I'm going to right click here and detach image and then put this back into the circle. So let's say that in your thumbnail, you want to make sure that you're in there, right? But you want to be in the circle. Look how, that it makes it look really nice. And so that's one thing you could do. And actually, just because I just saw this right now, there's this thing called crop. And I use crop all the time. And so I'm always cropping my photos. And so you can use the crop feature. Doesn't really work well in this particular case, but you want to use the crop feature whenever you're manipulating the images, just to make sure that they fit within the in the thumbnail. Here's an example of this. So here I had, here I can crop it. So obviously, if I crop it there, I cut off her head. So I wouldn't do that, but maybe in some cases you want to do that, right? Like if there was something, especially since I removed the background here, in this particular case, maybe I don't want her to a certain part to show, right? If there was something there. So maybe, who knows? Maybe I'd want to make the image smaller or just her body, right? That's an option I could do. Let's say flip that. And so, makes it it's kind of a different image, right? Than what I had before. So yeah, you can definitely play around. Might be kind of a harder first time you use it. There might be some learning, like a vertical learning curve. But once you use this enough times, you learn it's very simple and very intuitive, I think. And they're always adding new things. So just like what I said, it looked like those frames, there was way more frames of images than I had seen from before. So it looks like they're constantly adding things to Canva. Definitely a good tool that I use, whether it's free or whether you use the paid version, that allows you to make easy, simple thumbnails for your YouTube videos. And if you want to learn more about how to grow the views on your channel, you may also enjoy this video. For more help growing your visibility and monetizing your brand, go to alexanderfigueredo.com. And if you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. Thank you.